Let's welcome into Midpoint blogger, author, actor, which means a fellow member of the Screen Actors Guild. There's a lot of stories there. And who has been a top seller on Amazon's Women in Politics list. Anita Finlay joins us right here on Midpoint. Anita, thanks for being with us.
Hi, Ed. It's my pleasure. How are you?
I am outstanding, as a matter of fact. we get to sit here and talk politics all day long, and well, what could be better? It's easy stuff.
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and start. We do want to get to Eric Cantor, but seeing as we played a little bit of the interview between Diane Sawyer and Hillary Clinton here, talking about her book, it's now all of a sudden coming out that, not all of a sudden, but people are listening a little bit closer to the interview. Benghazi comes up again, and is it fair to say again that Hillary Clinton got caught by Diane Sawyer and again finds herself having to go back over this and again try to reestablish her position one more time on Benghazi, and to some is not getting it right?
Well, I'm not sure what the right answer would be. I don't know that anything will intent either the news media or Republicans who intend to go after her on this, because they see that as the place where she's most vulnerable. Obviously there were mistakes made on many fronts where the tragedy of Benghazi is concerned. But I also have to remember that she's in charge of an organization of 70,000 people and 270 outposts, compounds, embassies, and consulates. And to say that one person has to be personally responsible for the security of everything happening and that she cannot even rely on anyone in her senior staff, that seems to be a bit unfair also. I don't know that there's any good answer to that. And as even Colin Powell pointed out, under his tenure as Secretary of State, as horrible as this tragedy was and the loss of 4 American lives, these kinds of things do happen in danger zones like this. And there were a number of attacks under President Bush's presidency as well. And we have lost government personnel in the past. So, I'm not sure. I didn't remember seeing those kinds of numerous oversight hearings and condemnations when those events happened. So I'm a little concerned that we are politicizing this.
That's just it. Would you agree then with some who say that while Benghazi was an absolute tragedy and there were mistakes made, that it is not the win-win that many Republicans believe when it comes down to if and when Mrs. Clinton runs for president, that simply it's just maybe back off a little bit and focus on other things? Would you agree with that?
Oh, I would absolutely agree, Ed. I think that's a brilliant point. Look, the American people, as much as they're concerned with any events that affect any Americans and affect us around the world, we're worried about the economy, about growing jobs. Millennials are looking at a much more bleaker picture than their parents did. So I think they're looking for somebody who has experience, who believes in American exceptionalism, who can get the economy back on track. And I think Republicans, forgive me, but they have in the past also been guilty of overplaying their hand when it comes to trying to rip a Clinton, limb from limb. I think that also people vote for something. They don't vote against something. And if you are just saying no all the time, or you're very negative toward the other person, I don't know how much that's going to win you at the voting booth. So I think your point is well taken.
So let's take it one step further then. If you're sitting on the Republican side and you are looking at ways, let's say indeed, as many believe, that Hillary Clinton will run for president in 2016, and you're looking for that linchpin that you can go after her on, and I agree with you. I think you need to focus more on issues here. Again, not discounting one iota what happened in Benghazi and the importance of it. But if you were sitting there, you had the Republicans in front of you, you said one thing that you really should go after, and this could be the winner here, taking Benghazi out, what would that be?
Well, I think we're still focused on the negative, though, Ed. I would really tell a Republican just what I would tell a Democrat. I would say that you have to focus on what is the issue that is driving the American people, and to contact them rather than to allow the media to spin everything into some gotcha question. If it's just about taking somebody else down, then you haven't yet made your case for why I should vote for you. So I think the answer for Republicans is really to come up with a positive agenda in terms of what's really going to help the American people economically going forward, and in terms of our national security. Those are issues, I think, in terms of what student loans, immigration, those are things that really are concerning, and healthcare policy, that concerns the American people. It's not so much about how can we play gotcha with Hillary. I think that's a no-win proposition.
Before we move on to Eric Cantor, and I ask everybody here to make sure, 2016, yes or no, do you think she will run? Let's get you right on the record right now, Anita.
Oh, yes, she will. She's doing everything humanly possible to make sure that she has all the pieces in place. I think there is a 20% chance that she may say no based on what the climate is, but I sincerely doubt it. I think she's going to run.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Eric Cantor here, because we've heard a lot from people that it was because of immigration reform, because he didn't pay attention to his constituents back in Virginia, that he was arrogant, that he got caught by Barack Obama. Maybe there's something else we should be talking about here, because does this defeat of Cantor not just send a message to other Republicans, but it sends a message to Democrats as well? Guess what, guys? There's a lot of angry people sitting out there right now, and if you're not doing the job for them, they're going to bag you and they're going to send you home and put you out of work. This is a cautionary tale, I think, for everybody today.
Oh, bingo, bingo. I couldn't agree with you more. I think this really should send shockwaves, not just through the Republican Party, but through the Democratic Party, too. I think, both sides have to be aware that we're seeing a Street than Main Street. That happens on both sides. And the kind of crony capitalism or, the business as usual that's been going on. There are a lot of people, average American workers out there feeling like, well, where's my gold star? I got my 30-year note. I'm paying my rent. I'm paying my mortgage. I play by the rules. Where's mine? I think that there's that kind of attitude where they feel that policies are not skewed in their favor, and they're good and sick of it. So I don't know that this was just about immigration policy. I think you're right. I think there's a lot more to this, and everybody needs to start paying more attention to what their constituents want rather than living in an inside the beltway rarefied air mentality.
Is it possible, though? Now, here's something that I've talked about with many friends, because we have a gentleman, David Brat, very educated, certainly worthy of being someone who comes in and helps to help his community. But is it possible that in getting out the old guard, that on the left or the right, whatever it is, you may put in some people in the new guard who just aren't ready to handle the challenge and might not be the best options?
Well, look, anything is possible. People speak at the voting booth. I think, with all due respect to President Obama, there's a fair amount of buyer's remorse out there because a lot of people went with him rather than Hillary last time, the more experienced choice. And that's certainly what I write about in my book, Dirty Words on Clean Skin, about the sexist bias that occurred and also the kind of trashing she got, as opposed to somebody strewing rose petals before someone less experienced. And now we see what the result of that is, with a lack of engagement and so forth. So I think, the American voter really needs to be very careful about who they're selecting. It's not so much about political ideology, but what is that person's message, and do they have a record of what they say? Can they show you in some real concrete form that they can do what they say they're going to do, so that you're not just voting on talking points?
I think the big key here is, Anita, what I have said for a long time, and I think you and I will agree on with this: do your homework. That's all it is. You got a chance. Do your homework and find out exactly who the right person is. Anita, you're certainly the right person to talk about with this. I thank you so much for the time. Rest assured, we will do this again, and we'll trade off stories about SAG and all the rest as we go along the way, somewhere down the road.
I love it. My honor, Ed. Thank you.
Wonderful. Anita, thank you very much. It is really what I've been saying, and I will say it again. Just do your homework, America. You have the greatest chance in the world to know everything about every candidate. Don't just knee-jerk. Do your homework. Find the best. Coming up, we'll break down the GOP shakedown in Virginia. Grab a cup of tea. You can come right back here. It's okay. And while you're waiting, you can also make sure that you talk about this on social media. What we've said, what does it resonate with you? There's Twitter. There's the email. There's Facebook. And again, send us your comments. We will talk about it here, also on America's Forum, and also on the Steve Malzberg Show, because that is exactly what we do. What we do here is Midpoint. It's a simple motto. Every day, we question everything.